Hello everyone, welcome to a lap guide for Road Atlanta this time, and we're in the Ferrari, and let's get into it. So coming into the first right-hander, which is a very fast sweeper, we want to start like around the 100 board, aiming the car this way. We want to go over the grass a little bit here, as you can see, no off track at all or anything, and we're basically just doing this so we can open up the corner a bit more. Can gain you quite a bit of time actually, and it's recommended. And basically right as the car is on the tarmac past the grass, that's when we start our braking. And we're essentially following this white line. And at the moment where it starts to kink a little bit, like just before it, that's when we want to start turning in. Very, very light braking here. And we're just holding it and then smoothly trailing off as we get closer. And we're aiming to apex right on this yellow line, like at the furthest point from the curb. We don't really want to touch the curb. It can kind of push the car a little wide. And here we can really smash the throttle because there's a lot of banking here, so lots of compression. So yeah, you could just basically go to 100% throttle instantly and it's okay. And on this particular lap, I didn't push out as wide, but even if you do, it's okay. You can still bring the car back over in time. But I wouldn't go more than like a tire width to this curb. Like keep it at least a tire width away. Otherwise, you can really start struggling to bring the car back over, and you'll just end up really compromising the next section, which is really important. So as we're coming up on the blind, I think this is the turn 3. I'm essentially following this seam in the curb, kind of, as we're coming up the hill. This kind of helps guide me a little bit. So yeah, and then as I start to see more of this roof of this Marshall post, this blue roof, just as it's like appearing in my view, that's when I lift off the throttle. You want to lift off the throttle quite early before this curb to really let the car settle. If you're really pushing the car too much here and you're too fast on the entry, you're just going to lose so much time and you're just going to go wide on the next corner, and it's not good. So you really want to lift quite early here before the curb. And I gently start applying a little brake here just to even let the car settle down a little more. And then as we're almost completely on the curb, that's when I really start my braking, about 40% or so. And we want to use all of the curb on the left here. As you can see, I missed it slightly a little bit. You can even go a little further into the grass. And then essentially, just right before this curb is ending, it's pretty hard to see the apex here. So I'm using the end of the curbing as kind of a guide for my turn-in. Because see, right now we can't see the apex at all, so I'm really just using a lot of instinct and, again, the end of this curb as my turn-in reference. Then we quickly start trailing off. And ideally, you want to be pushing the power like before this curb. I was a little fast on the entry, so it wasn't ideal here, but I didn't lose too much time. And you basically want to arrive on this curb on the left here, and you want to hug your 2 tires on it for the rotation. It just helps pull you around this corner a bit easier. So as you can see, I even do a little bit of a lift here, which you don't really have to if you get the entry speed on the previous corner right, but I just did. It was kind of like a safety lift, really. And coming into the downhill, you don't really want to have the car further than like the right side of the middle of the track. Like, yeah, you don't want to be over here because it's really just you're really gonna struggle and you're gonna have to lift here and you'll just lose so much time through here. So we're avoiding the first curb. It can really unsettle the car, so don't touch that one. This one you can completely cut over. even into the grass a little bit. But the important thing is, though, is the moment you're arriving on it, that you're getting your steering angle straight. If you're arriving here with a lot of steering angle, when the car can just really bottom out and you can just spin and crash. It's not good. So make sure your steering wheel is straight as you cut over this curb. And then right as I'm in like the middle of the previous curb, like the end of this one, and the beginning of this one, I start lifting off. And just before this curb, I start my braking. And as you can see here, you don't want to approach this way. You kind of want to go around and then get onto the curb on this portion, because what happens if you go straight, like I showed earlier, and you hit this part of the curb first, the car really gets unsettled and you'll just kill your entry into the next corner and you lose a lot of time. So it's really important to kind of follow like the way the track is going here. It's kind of going out to the left and then back right. You kind of want to follow this pattern and arrive on the curb like around here, because it's a lot lower. Yeah, right here it's much higher and it's not good for the stability. Again, really gentle braking here. You can even go into the grass a bit. And yeah, turning in like right as we're stepping off the curb. And there's really two ways through here. You can take a line that's a bit wider and avoid the curb, or you can cut over completely the curb. In my experience, they're both about the same. So whatever feels comfortable for you, I'd recommend doing that. For me, I like going over to the curb a bit, even a little bit into the grass. It's just a nice feeling for me. And we're keeping the third gear and we're smashing the throttle right as we're arriving on that curb. And then through here, it's quite bumpy. It's a little sketchy on the cold tires, so just be careful. The car can really get loose here if you're too aggressive. And the gravel here, you can cut over a little bit of it. I wouldn't really go any more to the right of this. There's an off track here. And bringing the car back on the track. And then these next two corners also really important here. I'm using the 200 marker, which is in line with these dotted, the first set of white lines, these dotted white lines. And basically right as the car is arriving here, that's when I begin my braking. About 50-60% or so, trailing off a bit quickly as we arrive to the apex, holding in a little bit, like 5%, down to third gear. And here, lots of camber here, or banking. So again, you can really smash the throttle as you can see here. But yeah, you need to get this corner right to get the next corner right. It's really a chain of events, so super important you get the first one right. And then right as the car is arriving on this curb, which you want to use this curb to open up the track more, that's when you begin lifting and braking. Any later than this, and you're going to arrive here way too fast on entry, and you're just going to have severe understeer, and you'll lose lots of time down the longest straightaway. And again, like just before the end of the curb, I start turning in, and I'm aiming to clip a bit of this curb. I'm not going completely over it, but kind of like half, keeping the second gear. And just before we're arriving onto it, that's when we want to begin picking up the throttle. And initially it's like up to 60%, but we're in a Ferrari especially, we're modulating a little bit here as you can see. And now we're full throttle. And you can use this exit curb completely. No problem. Here I'm staying to the left, and then I'm slowly bringing the car back to the right, like after this sign. It's kind of the shortest way. Yep. So yeah, actually I'm kind of staying in the middle, but then you don't want to be completely to the right here, because the next chicane, or the final chicane here, well here, I'll speed it up. yeah, I want to stay in the middle here because you can use this curb here to open up the entry. So you're kind of aiming diagonally here. And my braking reference here, there isn't really a clear one. It's really more by instinct and feel here. But it's essentially like, I would say 20 meters or so before the 100. You just really need to experiment and just practice here. It's, yeah, there's really no clear, convenient reference here. So about 120, I start braking. About 70% or so initially, 60, 70%. And we're aiming for this outside curb to help open up the entry. Down into second gear. Cutting, very important, you're cutting a lot of this curb. As long as you keep a tire on the white line, you're fine. It's completely legal. Any more to the left and you'll be pretty close to getting an off track. Super important here, you're not carrying too much speed because this next portion here is what really matters. You're carrying it down the main straightaway there. So very briefly, 100% throttle in the middle. And then as we're approaching the second curb, I start to do a quick lift here. Generally, it's a bit less of a lift. I just kind of felt a little scared in this particular lap, so I did a complete lift, but I probably could have gotten away with a half lift here. And you want to make sure you're cutting all this curb, even into the grass a little bit. But there is like a kind of like a ditch right here. Car gets a little bumpy, so just be aware, as you can see there. And ideally ending up completely on this outside curb and bringing the car back to the track. And then coming down through here, it's kind of blind. So what I'm doing is I'm aiming the car basically right at these yellow, red, and white, I guess, this little sign. That's kind of my guide to let me know where to go here. Right under the bridge. And yeah, we're taking kind of a sharp line here. We don't have to be all the way to the left. This is easily flat. The next corner. And that's a lap guide for Road Atlanta. I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you next time.